Hi.
All right, we're live. We're working on these intros and trying to get this all straight. So this is our launch. So here it goes.
This is it. Welcome to KEW Exchange.
Yes, where knowledge through experience transforms to wisdom. This is Kelly Bryant, who is the producer from Defied Distance. Distance Defied. Wow, I can't even say things right today. I don't do well with scripts. I'm telling you, I'm so much better at winging things. Like when it comes to this is A, I'm just not good at it. The rebel side of me comes out.
It is.
It is. Hey, Rob. Nice to see you. So a little background about what we're doing. What inspired me to do this podcast? Obviously, doing the You Are Not Alone series, getting LinkedIn Live at the same time. Hey, Michelle. It's habit now. I'm just hitting buttons instead of Kelly to hit the buttons here.
I have to go this habit. This is why you have a producer.
I know, and it's just so confusing. Who would have expected? So what inspired this is I've been working with Desade, and he's created this huge, enormous platform, educational training, learning platform, retraining, relearning. Hey, Deb. It's so weird not hitting that button. And I hated comments up until now. Now it's like I look at them and wait, I don't have to do it anymore. So
inspiration for KEW.
Through working with Stephen, he created this, knowledge experience into wisdom situation, and how he transforms through that process. And I spoke to him and I said, I'm going to run with this. And then what I did was I obviously took my spin on it, which there's going to be a lot of different topics discussed during this series, during this show. I guess it's more than a series, right? This is a show already, considering we already have 30 episodes booked. It's going to go anywhere from spiritual and connectedness and understanding how that plays into our lives. Religious agnostic. This is just truly going within and finding yourself. And then we're going to go into deep emotional topics as well. And each guest had the opportunity to choose a topic that they were willing to go deep on. And they've honored me by allowing me to share space with them, right? And create a safe, and for us to share a space with them and create a safe space to where we can be real, raw, and vulnerable and be human, right? And share our human experiences. And then from there, we're going to be taking their steps that they took to get out of it, and relatable, and be able to relate with them, since I've been through so many different circumstances in my life. It's going to be an open, real, raw conversation. And I think through this, what we're looking to do is take podcasting, live shows, whatever it is, to the next level. We're looking to really bring out the people's genuine cores and genuine messages, to bring out their true, authentic selves. And I'll step back and let Kelly speak, because now I'm not used to this. This is so strange to me.
What's strange? You do this all the time.
So yeah, it feels different.
I know it feels different because it's
real.
It's not just you sitting here having conversations, but that's exactly what it is. And that was the inspiration for the show in the first place. Was, we've been doing the work, and you've been going live for months now, and for the holidays, you did the You Are Not Alone series and invited friends to come and talk for an hour on your LinkedIn and YouTube channels, Facebook, and, through other people you're talking to and mentors. And then one of the shows I was watching, we kind of decided this needs to be a thing. Like, you really need to do this. And I think you and I both have a heart for holding space for people that, we we have these conversations regularly now because of what we're going through and because of what the world is going through. And one of the core things that I think you and I believe in, and our group believes in, is that through sharing our own experiences, through our transparency, other people are transformed. And that's really the goal, right? That we, like you said, have authentic, raw, real conversations with people that inspire other people. That we talk about the real struggles and we get vulnerable, so that other people, like you said, can relate. And hopefully, the goal is that we raise the vibration of humanity, the planet, right? That we're all able to get deep to the nitty gritty of life and talk about how we overcame and the steps that we took. Because it's not about, hey, this is what I did, do what I did, but this is what I went through. And this is how yucky it can be. And this is how I got through it. And you may get through it the same way or you may not. The whole point is that we're being real and transparent about the issues that we're going through. It's not just the Instagram highlight reel anymore, right? We're talking about the yucky stuff.
Yeah, and I think, like when you created Distance Defied, right? Like you had your normal background into production and film and TV commercials and stuff like that, right? Your traditional stuff and live events that you've done.
Yeah.
Like you have a very extensive background in production and directing. And, bringing it to this type of platform is going to really shift things a lot, right? It's going to open the door and we're going to be landing space. I like that actually.
Mm-hmm.
I like landing space. It's going to open the door for more shows and more series and more to come under this umbrella that we're building now.
Yeah.
Because we're looking to build different type of media platform, right? We all know that mainstream media is slanted, right, based on who puts money behind it. I guess one of the advantages of having no money behind it is you don't have to be slanted. So, we're going to go by the seat of our pants and we're going to pull this thing together and we're going to start creating multiple layers of content in all different areas that will be able to share and relate to almost everyone, right? And we're going to start looking at this from a completely different approach, I think. That's a lot more of the bigger picture behind this.
Yeah.
This show,
yeah. At its core, let's see what Carl has to say. Yeah.
Kelly's a little behind on connections.
I'm slightly behind on connections on LinkedIn because of getting ready for this show. So, the other part of this is that, like Mike said, I have a background in production. Mike's been doing this already. I've been trying to figure out how to come into alignment with my work, right? To bring that into what I'm really passionate about and what I believe in. And this is just the perfect connection, right? It's a great congruence of both of our skills and talents and passions. So,
and our purposes, right? And what we're what we're here to do, right? Like I talk about my legacy goal all over the place, to humanity through understanding and understanding and knowledge and understanding.
Yeah.
When it's opposite direction, it gets a little confusing for me.
Yeah, it's not up on the screen. I will put that up on the screen for you so you don't forget.
Yeah.
So tell us about the name, where that came from.
So KEW was inspired by Stephen DeSade, right? It was truly inspired by his teachings and his principles and how he really truly helped clarity on my logical mind, because my mind just breaks down things in such a logical manner that I overthink just a little bit, every single detail, just a little bit. And when he started breaking it down for me, he creates these simplistic ways to streamline thought processes.
Mhm.
And, knowledge, experience to wisdom is one of them, right?
Mhm.
And the exchange part to me is when you have two people on a screen like we are now, there's traditionally an energy exchange, right?
Mhm.
And there's a give and a take with it, and it's sharing that space to freely be ourselves. And I really wanted this to be a full knowledge, experience, wisdom exchange between two, three people, whoever's going to be on, and have it be that safe
Mhm.
space so people feel comfortable to do so. So it's it's that's where the name. I mean, it's very straightforward. I don't, I'm not that
Yeah.
creative.
You are creative. Um, you said something that triggered for me. I lost it. Um, but we were just talking about the safe space, I guess, that, oh, that's what it was. The exchange, the fact that this is an energy exchange, that's something I'm really passionate about. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, I really believe that if we start thinking about everything that we do as an energy exchange and really focus on giving and trusting that we will then receive in return, right? That we're not giving for the purpose of receiving, that we're giving for the purpose of helping and encouraging others, that it just comes back to us tenfold, right? We don't have to constantly be worried about whether or not there's equal, right? Because it works itself out. And what I give, um, whether if I give something to Tom, Tom may not be able to repay me exactly what I gave him in terms of energy, whatever. And I'm specifically talking about energy and not monetary exchange, because I think we really need to be focusing on that instead. Um, Tom may not be able to repay me, but maybe Mary has something that I need and she's giving me, and that we just kind of start trusting in. I hate to sound woo woo and say the universe, but kind of like, just let's start trusting in the goodness of humanity and give without expectation of receiving, and just know that we are going to be provided for, and that we're going to get those things that we need. In terms of the energy exchange, the other thing is that in this format, you're able to give to more people, right? You're not just giving to the person that you're having the conversation with on screen, but the goal is that we're giving to all of the viewers, right? That through your transparency, we're giving to other people.
100%, Jen. And it goes beyond that, right? Because I don't think that as humans, right, we have many habits and we have many things that we get ourselves caught up in, and every single action that we take as a human being is an exchange, right? There's been many things in my life that I have done that has brought me nothing but negativity and tainted me and just drained energy from me. And I think when I started becoming aware of that, I started changing my habits, right? Habits
Mhm.
for me naturally. Things that used to serve me don't serve me anymore. Finding excuses to do things that are old just don't work anymore, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I'm isolated, so maybe it's just isolation kicking in. But like, it's like there comes to a point in your life where you have to really value yourself enough that it's not worth sacrificing any of you to feed side of yourself, right? And I'd rather be alone than be with the wrong person.
Mhm.
I'd be, you know, I'd rather build my own energy up so that I can give it to the right people in the right ways that is healthy, has creates healthy environments for myself, right? And I've hit this point in my life where I'm just self-aware now, and I'm aware of what my actions and how my actions affect me on a deeper level. right? Because what things that used to not make a big deal to me, now they do tremendously. Huge deal because I feel it because I'm so self-aware now.
Mm-hmm.
And old habits, old anything just doesn't suit me anymore.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm going to become a monk. It's not that I'm, looking to live this idealistic, perfect little lifestyle, but there's got to be a give and a take that makes sense. There's got to be something that's worth it to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time on something that's not any or any.
I want to go back, Jen, to your comment. I think that Mike has kind of a natural ability to do this. That he I can't tell you how many times people tell me, "Oh my gosh, I love Michael Padurano. He changed my life." Whatever. Like it just everybody has that feeling about Mike, and he just has a natural ability to make you feel safe. And I think that is what really drew me to doing this show. But I think it's important to recognize, and this is something that Mike, you've had real conversations with people when doing schedules that, hey, like you have to be willing to be raw and vulnerable and transparent. That's the purpose of this show. And while you create a safe space, and it might be easy to have a conversation, or easier to have a conversation with you and to open up with you and be honest and real and raw and transparent, this is going out there into the world, right? And so that's the real thought is, okay, we're creating that space, but also holding space and trying to make sure that the environment that we're creating within the show, that all of you that watch are creating the environment too. It's not just me and Mike, and it's not just the guests who come on that create the environment. It's everyone watching the show who makes it a safe space, and together we can grow this community that lift each other up.
And it's funny because when I started asking people, I expected a lot more no's.
Mm-hmm.
I really did, right? Because this goes out to the world and this is on the internet permanently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I expected a lot more no's. I didn't
Right.
expect many people to be comfortable to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this topic because I've never talked about it before.
But I think
Like,
it just shows
okay,
you that this is what the world needs, right? Like we are changing rapidly. Humanity is changing, the world is changing, and this is what we need. People are saying yes because people are recognizing, yep, it's time. This is it. I'm all in, right?
yeah, it's, like whatever you want to believe, right? The universe, energy. If you don't want to believe in that, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But you can look around and feel a difference. You can look around and see that these chaotic times have brought people to their knees in so many ways, to cripple them, to bring them all the way down to their lowest moment.
Yeah.
And people have had to make a conscious decision and effort to come back from it.
Mm-hmm.
Really had to look at it and make that decision and say, you know what, I want to be better. I want to evolve from this. Or people have said, I'm not going to, and they fight everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or they do it half-assed, and
Yeah.
that doesn't usually work either, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're not being true to yourself and you're not telling yourself the truth, you can only follow through with things for so long before it just
Mm-hmm.
implodes in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for a long time, like years. I always said the right thing. I always wanted to do the right thing. I always believed that I was that person that actions matched my words. And the reality is, I wasn't in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute that somebody sees that level of trust and that bond is gone, right?
Yeah.
It starts disintegrating, and it really makes people question themselves, and
Yeah.
like I've talked about on many shows that I'm an empath and I'm empathic, and my intuition's through the roof, and I believe in energy. I'm a healer. I can do all these different things, right? I've done it. I have done it. And believe what you want to believe. That's fine. I'm not asking you to believe what I believe.
Yeah.
Look in and find what you believe. Like, stop listening to others. Like, find the answers for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so used to having information fed to us in one way or another. I
Mm-hmm.
really got to find an angle that's comfortable.
Okay, so I want to ask you about um, guests. Like we've kind of mentioned that this show is about guests and people coming on, and because you can tell your story so many times. You can only tell your story so many times, right? This is really about the guests and them sharing their stories. What are you looking for in guests, and what we've talked about being vulnerable and raw and real, but like, what kind of guests are you looking for? What kind of topics are you talking about? But like, let's get deeper about what we're doing.
All right, so let's look at the connectedness and spirituality side first a little bit, right? We have on Monday our first true episode is going to be about agape and ubuntu, right? And I'm pronouncing it wrong, so we all know that it's 100% wrong. And
I don't,
Ubuntu, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, I'm wrong. I promise you. If somebody in South Africa is in the crowd, please do what it is. And then from there, good morning, Dorothy. I'm saying nice to the comments and they're not coming on the screen yet. But it's my habit. So from there next week we're going to be talking about divorce transitions and the emotional journey there. We're going to be talking about triggers and the emotional responses and how to reframe and rewire that. We're going to be talking about sobriety and spirituality. We're going to be talking, because I've been sober so long, Jenny Clark is coming on to talk to me about it, and she's been sober for 30 years, twice as long as I have. And then next Friday we're going to be doing spiritual awakening, right? And we're going to be going through that as well. And then Saturday, I'm not going to mispronounce, so I'm going to let you talk about that. That's the two different meditations or yogas that I can't pronounce.
Yeah, the Ho'oponopono, and it is a great topic to kick things off. We're excited about that one, and we're very intentional about the first show. But yeah, the Ho'oponopono, and I don't remember what the other thing was, but yeah, that's a Hawaiian practice. So the thing that you're mentioning, which I love, is you're talking about the specific struggles in the topics, right? But I think the other thing that we really need to make sure that we're clear about is this is about being vulnerable, the struggles and the yucky stuff that everybody goes through, but then what are the practices, right? So that you can look and see, these are the practices, this is what I did to get through it, this is how I got over that hurdle or whatever. So it's the things like meditation and the Ho'oponopono and yoga and those things, so that people are giving their real world stories about, this is all the stuff that I went through, and this is how I got through it. Because for everybody, it's different for everybody, right? Like, my practice is going to be completely different than your practice, even though you and I share a lot of parallels, right, in our story, in our lives. Like, we have a lot in common, and for whatever reason go through things at a similar time in life. But our practices and the way we do things, soul brother, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I resent it, but I think it's good that we have each other for it. But yeah, I mean, our practices, I think that's what's really important to share, is everybody's looks different, whether you're aloha, whether you're your struggle may be exactly the same, right? Your struggle might be exactly the same as somebody else, but the practice and how you got through it is different. So I think that's why we're showing such a variety of stories, that while alcoholism isn't something that I've struggled with, it's that I'm not in AA and not sober, the practices that you use to get through that might work for me and my issues, right? So I think it's just really important that we're showing such a huge variety of not just struggles, but the practices, right?
100%, and that's a big part of this, right? Because that's how you get wisdom, is by putting it to work and gaining that experience and coming out of it. And that's really, like, next Wednesday with the trigger episode, right? Like, Sherry's who taught me how to rewire my triggers. Like, she is the person who taught me, right? So she's going to show her way a little bit, and she's going to explain how that works.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're going to be talking to Rebecca O'Brien at some point. I don't remember the exact dates right now, And she's going to be talking about how you deal with burnout and stress overload.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drag her into the muck a little bit and talk about what she went through a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And it really there's such a variety of topics, and I love it, right? And I'm specifically making it so that the guests can choose their comfort range on their specific experience, right? I mean, the next Monday we have a retired football player that wants to talk about death of ego, right? And
Mm.
what he went through emotionally and how he bounced back, right? And
Yeah.
he had tremendously. He's a good friend of mine. And I mean, the topics are just going to get more intense and deeper as we go, right? And yes, 100%. And like Jen on Wednesday, I mean, we went through her journey a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And we talked about some of the steps that she took. And this is powerful. This Felicia is going to be a guest. Dorothy will be too. She just doesn't know it yet. Carl's going to end up being a guest. Jenny Goldberg on my show, and I'm probably going to bring her back. Deborah Beecham is definitely going to end up being a guest at some point, and Rob probably will too at some point down the road.
Okay,
You know,
so on those lines, like you kind of mentioned this earlier in passing, but to be a guest, we've said you got to be willing to tell your story and be raw and vulnerable, and then be willing to talk about those tools that you used, the practices that you used to get through it, and the topic, right? Decide on the topic. What is the topic that you want to talk about for an hour or 45 minutes, whatever, however it works. But so people who say, yeah, I'm ready, I want to tell my story, they just reach out to you on LinkedIn.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's the easiest place to find me.
Yeah.
And it's about, and they can reach out to you too if they don't want to back anytime soon. It's one of those things that I really just want the raw, honorable, honest, genuine side that we need to share the deepest things,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're walking through your life with skeletons and you're walking through your life with shadows that you're hiding behind, then you're asking for trouble to move forward in your life.
Yeah.
You're not setting yourself up for success because you're always going to be looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
And at some point, you realize that freedom is true individual personal freedom. It's finding self and being free of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love myself, I forgive myself, and I'm ready to, move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of this, but to say that is one thing. To understand how to get to that point is really the key to this. It's really about, being that raw and vulnerable, being genuine, being willing to hold that space for everybody that's here, but then
Mm.
at the same time being able to show them how we came back
Yeah.
so that they can find a way that maybe mirrors it in a way. Because
I think,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe they take one of my practices that works and then take one of yours that works,
Yeah.
right? Because again, we use different things, right? It's
Yeah.
how it's just how it goes.
I think you just said two really key components there. Um, the loving yourself, right? That in order to do this, in order to get on this show and get real and talk about our struggles and be unfiltered, it has to start with loving yourself. It has to start with accepting yourself and unconditionally, right? And not worrying about what the haters are going to say or how you're going to be judged, right? It has to start, number one, with loving yourself. And
Well,
then
I don't. Sorry. No, go
no.
ahead.
And then
Oh,
number two, you were talking about the mirror thing. I think that is important, and that's what I love about these conversations. And I think the more conscious you are and the more aware you are, the more you recognize that we are mirrors. And for every conversation that we have, we are mirrors for each other. And to be able to be still and be quiet and be that safe space, hold space for other people, that's where real transformation happens.
100%. And let's not kid ourselves, right? We don't have to 100% love ourselves to be able to come on a show. You don't
Well,
have to 100%
because we're
love
still
yourself.
working on it.
Right. So
Nobody's
this
saying we haven't figured out.
right, and this and everyone is a work in progress.
For
Everyone is
sure. For sure.
Every single person is trying to achieve this, and I don't know if it could happen before the day you die, right? I
Mm,
don't think you hit this
yeah.
magic ascended level to where, you know, you can walk around and you're floating and you're just great, right? Like nothing touches you.
Never
Um,
say never, Mike.
well, that's true, but if I start floating, then we have some issues.
Give
You know,
it a
it's
couple of years, it'll be normal.
yeah, right. It'll be more. Um, but I think that this really comes down to being a self-aware.
Yeah.
It's more than loving yourself. It's more than accepting yourself. If you are at least self-aware enough to know where you're at and know where you're going and know how you got to the point that you're at today,
Hmm.
then
Yeah.
you can have this conversation. Because this isn't about
Yeah.
teaching, this isn't about leading, this isn't about telling others what to do or doing a master class or doing something like that. It can lead to those things. But this is just about having that open conversation.
Yeah.
And that's how you create safe space is by being willing and being able to be raw, be vulnerable and share it.
Yeah.
You know, not being scared of the dirt, not being scared of the shadows and anything that you've done previous to this moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part of this. I think that's a huge component to all this. Um, is
That
finding
self
that
awareness. Yeah.
self-awareness because the self-awareness just opens the door. It just does. Yes, awaken to yourself. That's huge.
I mean, it definitely is. It takes courage, right? I mean, to sit here and tell your deepest, darkest. It definitely takes courage, and especially in this environment here. Here, you're going to like multiple platforms, and you are one of the most well connected people on LinkedIn. I know, so this is going out to a lot of people, and just having the courage to get your story out there and be vulnerable. But again, back to what's the goal? Through our own transparency, other people leads to other people's transformation, and that's the goal. Is that you can help somebody else, you can light the path for somebody else that's going through something similar.
And that is the goal, right? It's about, I've always said that if I can reach one person a day and make an impact each day to one person, eventually that ripple effect will cover the globe, right?
Yeah.
Because it just will. And it's about impacting, it's about shifting souls, it's about helping people move on their path, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
about getting a tangible result from it. It's not about looking for a permanent solution. I'm not doing those things. I don't want those things. I'm not looking for, where am I getting paid in this? Where am I going to make money off this? um, I believe the universe will provide somehow.
It's an
uh,
energy exchange, right?
it
Yeah.
is, and I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
When I have conversations one on one with people, I mean, there's some crazy experiences that happen for people, and I don't charge them a penny. I don't look for money from it.
Yeah.
It's just who I am. Maybe I should, and maybe then I value money more, but I just don't.
Shaman
I do,
Padurano.
yeah, there you go.
Life coach Padurano.
Yeah, there you go. Shaman life coach extraordinaire accepts every major credit card and PayPal and Cash App. Um, but it just to me, it's not about that. It's not. These are gifts that were given to me that I can't use to make a living off of. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel right to me. Now, does that mean that in my companies, my businesses, I don't use abilities
Right.
to enhance my businesses? That no, that I definitely, right? Like that's a definite because that's who I am also,
Well,
right?
and we still live in a world where you need
Food. I mean,
maybe
you
not
need
forever.
right, but you need the necessities, right? You need to cover
Yeah.
food, roof over your head, all utilities, all those things,
But that's not
right?
the goal of this show. We're not
No.
sitting here trying to the goal of this show is just what we said to to be a safe space for people that so that we can help others.
Yeah, and I think the bigger goal is at the point when we look at sponsors and when we're looking at things like that for the bigger picture. It's I think we're going to be looking for brands that are only aligned, right? We're looking for aligned cause,
Right.
aligned
And
purpose.
yeah, this is great, Jen.
100%.
Knowing that you're not going through the struggle alone, knowing that other people are there, have been there, and that is just so key. And really, a big part of the inspiration from the beginning is you were doing the "You're Not Alone" series, you know. So yeah, 100%.
And by the way, World, Kelly's not used to be live, so she'll be the producer. So her phone going off every 10 minutes, that won't matter as much.
I'm sorry. I can't. The
Fine.
problem is it's synced to my computer, and I can't mute my computer. I don't know.
I'm just
I'll
here.
figure this out. I'm not used to being on camera, so it never
She
matters. But
not
we'll
only
figure it
that,
out.
she's probably in Clubhouse, so it's just
I'm
notifications.
not. I haven't done
Almost
Clubhouse yet. No, I don't need another I can't even. I LinkedIn is my number one priority. I got it. Once I get LinkedIn messaging sorted, then I'll think about Clubhouse.
Well, we all have our distractions, right? And we've got to decide which distractions are healthy ones and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that on a daily basis, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I've pretty much cut out TV, I've cut out news, I've cut out all these things. And there's moments where
Yeah.
I'm just
Interesting. Yeah.
staring at the walls and I'm like, I kind of like this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that noise. I have enough noise in my head. I don't need more noise.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's times I just want the TV on in the background.
Yeah.
And I don't pay attention to it at all.
Just to feel like you aren't alone, right? Just to hear whatever. Also, I
Yeah.
love how now the more aware I am and the more conscious, whatever you want to call it, that when I have the TV on in the background or the radio or whatever, everything is different, right? The messages that come through now are so different. Everything's through this different filter now, which I love. I'm looking at our list to make sure that I know you
You
love
covered.
outlines.
Yeah. I didn't read it. So I
I
didn't
want to
read
make
it. So
sure
I'm
we
hoping
have
you hold me
everything.
down to it. Kelly sent a message to me on WhatsApp earlier. It was a list of what we need to talk about, and I just said, "Okay, read." Didn't even look. I didn't even look at what was on the list. I
I
just
know
looked
you
at it.
make outlines, but I think it's going to be good for us. Um, but I think we've talked about everything. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions?
If you want to be on the show, if you have a topic that you want
Actually,
to talk about,
every single person. There's 3 people out of everybody who's watching that on LinkedIn, because I don't know if we're getting comments from Facebook or anything else. But if you do want to be on the show and if you have a topic in mind, reach out to me and we'll talk about it. We'll have a conversation and we'll go from there. And I'm more than willing.
so the plan is we're typically going to go live around lunch a couple
In
times
theory,
a week.
in
In theory, around lunchtime,
a couple
a
times
couple
a week.
times a week.
Next week, 6 days. The week after is 5.
I'm,
After is,
I'm not in charge of the scheduling. Maybe I should take over that.
I think you should, and maybe look at what we have. Um, it's gonna probably end up being 5 days a week at the rate we're going.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we'll range between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Up until March 8th, and then I've got to see what happens legally on March 9th, and we'll go from
We'll
there.
still we'll still figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure out how to do it.
Pretty
We
much.
can have guest host if we need to.
Yeah, I mean Kelly could host.
We'll see.
Well, she learned how to
Okay.
put her on mute.
My phone
We're-
is on mute. It's the computer. The phone is on mute. The computer, I don't have Apple product, doesn't understand that I get text messages on my computer and I
Sorry.
can't mute my so anyway. I'll figure it out for next time. Oh, that's a
Jen
glare.
wants to know where she can find me on Facebook. Michael Padurano. It's pretty straightforward. I don't know what my Facebook URL is. I just know that there's no other Michael Padurano. I don't think anywhere on Facebook.
I doubt that. Really? There's no other Michael Padurano on Facebook?
No, because Padurano was the name was changed at Ellis Island. It was really Padurano, and they added an R in, so only one out of the 7 siblings got an R, or 2 out of the 7 got an R, and there's no other Michael on that side.
That's really interesting. I was trying to go over to Facebook to grab the link. Let me see if I can do this.
It's so interesting that even back in the 1920s and 30s, they still screwed up in bureaucracy. Yes. But then again, it was, English to whatever native language, which in that case was Italian.
So it is. I'm going to put it in a banner.
You're gonna put my URL?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
there it is.
Well, there you go. That's pretty straightforward. Anybody wants to send birthday gifts, feel free. That is my birthday.
On Facebook.
Yeah, so go for it. Yeah, all gifts are accepted.
So yeah, if you want to find Mike on Facebook, that's how you do it. And then I think everyone's watching on LinkedIn, so I don't need to put your LinkedIn thing on there.
Yeah, and our YouTube URL is still a little screwy, so we got to work on figuring that out. But it is on YouTube also. It's going live there, and we'll probably set up a Twitch. We'll probably set up I have a Twitter, but that's kind of not really a fan of Twitter. I still don't understand it.
You can also email the KEW Exchange at gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, guys. No, I think that's it. I think we're good.
So this ends the official launch of the KEW Exchange. We will be live next week, 6 days next week, with all sorts of fun topics and great guests.
And I'm pretty sure every day is a different time. So that should be entertaining for all of us.
It's like 11 or 12, right? Ish.
Mostly.
It's
and
around
then Thursday and Friday are at 7.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got it.
So, yeah, it's gonna be okay though. We'll make this figure it out. But we're gonna be releasing a weekly schedule, I think, on Sunday. I think that's what we're gonna do. Is on Sundays release a weekly schedule, and then the daily promos also for social.
Okay.
Thank you, Felicia. I appreciate you.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one. Have a great weekend.